domed window or a circular window, every so often it may jump over to that window because that's also circular and it's looking for a global feature. So the algorithm sometimes may jump over and look for something that you clearly know that it's a window, but it doesn't, and it will jump over there every so often. So that's somewhat of a challenge. So if you're doing face recognition, make sure you don't have anything that looks like a face behind you, like just a drawing of a smiley face will sometimes trip it up. Okay, so it's something sometimes very simple. And we try and locate the face, and then we recognize it from a general viewpoint. Typically, full front-on is the best one. We have 2D face and 3D face. 2D, obviously, you look straight on there. It's kind of a mugshot photograph. This 3D face is pretty cool. We can actually rotate the faces in our lab. So we take a 3D picture of you. It takes about, I don't know, about 10 to 15 seconds to actually capture the image. And then it takes about 1.5 minutes to process, which is quite a long time. But we can rotate, zoom in, zoom out, do all kinds of fancy things with this image. And the performance does increase considerably. Face recognition does have some problems. 50%, if I take a picture of you in this environment, kind of take you outside, and it's a little darker, let's assume it's wintertime, the algorithm could trip up by nearly 50%. Well, it's a toin cost. So there are some issues, and 3D face sometimes can rectify that as well. These are the features we're looking for in 2D. These are the features, it's kind of hard to see, but it's a grid, kind of an overlay in 3D. So there's a lot more features that we're grabbing out of that. It's a little more computationally longer. Fingerprint, ridges and valleys are meant to be unique to each individual. And if we have multiple fingerprints, it provides us additional information. For the US visit, you need these two. For some welfare, they'll take all 10. They'll definitely take all 10 if you've been pulled over and you need to go visit someone in jail. The issue there is how many fingers does it make to be unique? I mean, that's one of the issues. If I'm going to design a database to enroll the entire population of the US, do I know that everyone is unique? And second of all is, how many fingers do I need to know for uniqueness? So I don't have everyone's fingerprints, so I'm taking a guess that these two are okay. But it's just an educated mathematical guess. I might need these two for 2 times 2. Either way. All right. This is what we're looking for in minutia-based fingerprinting. You've probably seen all of these before. The red dots here indicate minutia points, and we extract those features, and we get rid of the fingerprint, and then we just keep those features. So many times people when they look at biometrics think we keep your images, and typically we don't unless we want to keep them for research. Typically we just extract and throw away and keep the points of interest that we're looking at. These are actually fake fingerprints we've created. There's some software out there, and this is another ethical issue, I guess, that might be interesting to look at. But you can create fake fingers, and then you can create fingers, real live gelatin or whatever fingerprints from that, and then we try and spoof sensors in our lab as well. This is publicly available software, but it kind of shows you if you ever take a look at your fingerprints, the left loop, the right loop, the whorl, arch, and tented arch, the 5 characteristics of your fingerprints. This is Henry's system of classification. This is a fingerprint, obviously, and this is an extracted fingerprint. That triangle there indicates a core, delta point. The square there is a core, and you've got these little minutia points floating around. If I delete the green, I'm just left with those points, and I just stick them on a Cartesian coordinate, and that's my template. You might be able to see some dots in these ridges here. Anyone can see them? I don't know whether it's too dark. Those are pores, so we can also do poroscopy as well. Again, that depends on a lot of factors with your skin. That, by the way, is a very good quality fingerprint. If you go onto our homepage, you'll be able to see a very poor quality fingerprint. And it has about 3 times the number of minutia points. The best thing about this fingerprint is these minutia points are relatively constant. So we create them, then we see them again, then we'll be able to make a match. On elderly fingerprints, for example, these minutia points are all over the place. Hand and finger geometry, based upon measurements of the hand. It's the most successful biometric installation around the world in the commercial side. Obviously, fingerprinting for law enforcement is the biggest slice of the pie, but outside of law enforcement, hand geometry has by far the highest number of installations. The limitation is market applications and size of the device. And we also have some aging issues that we're studying as well. These are the points that we're taking. There's about 91 in hand geometry. And this is the device. And this is what we have outside. You can see that you have to align your hand with the pins down here. You enter your number in the keypad. There's the camera points down, takes an image of the hand here. And you can see to the right up there, then there's an area where you can take a side image as well. And so that is hand geometry. Gets a couple of issues with that. First of all, people don't know how to squeeze the pins. It's not always logical to them. But after training, we typically explain to individuals that it's like landing a plane onto a planet, and you just squeeze, just zoom in like that. It's a lot easier to do that with the device. It looks a bit silly like this. Zoom in and squeeze the pins. Elderly have a lot of problems if they got arthritis or rheumatism or something like that. I can't squeeze the pins too good. All right, so we're looking at that in our our extreme population study. People with missing digits might not be able to hit all the pins, and if you've got small hands, you might not be able to reach the pins. So those are some of the issues there. You can get around this. If I break this hand upside down is identical. Your left and right hands are mirror images. So with hand geometry, so that's always, if you break this one, you're not kind of out of luck yet. Right? They only make them in the right-hand variety unless you want a parking lot application where it would be kind of hard to stick your right hand out the window. So they do make them for lefties in that environment, but that's about it, special order. These are relatively cheap, about $1,500 to get a hand reader on a door. Iris recognition is the difference between a pupil and the sclera, and it carries very distinctive information. I got a couple of pictures for you. This is a side view of the eye. You've got the iris here as the colored area. The cornea and then the lens is on there as well. But basically, we need to extract these features. So we take out the pupil, we take out the white of the eye, and then we're left there with the iris in the middle. And the very cool thing about this is we basically take that circle and make it a straight rectangle. And then we basically filter the different colors from that to get an iris code. And that iris code, I actually can draw on this, right? So this iris code here is that eye there kind of split out and put in a straight square. And they take the functions of these colors here and stick it back in there. So that's pretty nifty. It's very cool stuff. I'm tapping the screen to undo. There we go. So that's an iris code that was invented by John Dogman. It's typically only one algorithm out there, although the U.S. government just recently issued a call for more algorithms to be developed under the ICE program with NIST. And so that'd be pretty exciting to get academics out there to do iris recognition. These are several examples of different irises. You can see how colorful they are, although, again, when we look at them at a grayscale. But these are some features of eyes that are, this is from John Dogman's website if you want some more information on that. But they're very feature-rich. Keystroke dynamics. Behavioral indicates how people type on a keyboard. We've done some work in the lab on keystroke dynamics. We're also looking at spontaneous passwords as well, just trying to figure out what you're going to type, and doing a number of things over there. Keystroke dynamics is somewhat limited. You've got two variables typically that pop out, the key that you pressed, the key time, and the key interval. There's not a lot of information there, as opposed to an iris, which has loads of information on here as well when you extract that. Odor, made up of a series of chemicals, and typically this is going to be used in a security environment where we put a puff of air across you and there'll be a series of sniffers on the other side. We'll analyze your chemistry from that. Retinal is a rich structure at the back of the eye. Anyone that's been to an optician and had their retina looked at will know that it's kind of a blinding sensation. You kind of walk around with a couple of blue dots every so often for the rest of the day. So it's relatively difficult to capture, but we've had success in capturing retinal on animals. We've been doing some horse data collection. We've collected data on sheep, goats, and cows. And they have very good retinas, not very good irises. So we can go back there. And in fact, some of the work that's being done over in